KJA Global Channel, The Political System and Me. Series 3, Institutions, Power, Rights, and Accountability. Episode 33, My Technology and Future Governance, AI, Data, Surveillance, and Digital Rights. Technology entered my life quietly. Not with a constitution. Not with a vote. Not with a law passed in Parliament. It entered as convenience. A phone in my hand. A message in my pocket. A map that knew my streets. A platform that knew my friends. A service that promised speed. An algorithm that promised better choices. I was told that technology was neutral, that it was simply a tool. But then I watched the same tool do two opposite things in two different societies. In one place, technology expanded freedom. It opened education, markets, public information, communication, health services, and political participation. In another, technology became a cage. Surveillance, censorship, digital fear, targeted arrests, propaganda more precise than bullets. This is where our question begins. Who controls the data, the algorithm, the network, and the truth environment? In the age of artificial intelligence, the most powerful political question may no longer be only who controls the army. It may be who controls the systems that can see, classify, predict, rank, influence, and exclude millions of people at once. Technology is not neutral in its effects. It takes the shape of the political system, institutions, incentives, and values that govern it. AI and data can become engines of national development, or they can become instruments of domination. The system reveal is data power, surveillance, and algorithmic governance. Digital life is now political life. Data and algorithms are instruments of governance. In plain language, the hidden mechanism is data power, surveillance, and algorithmic governance. Digital power, like all power, must be limited. A dictatorship of the future does not need tanks on every street. It needs databases, cameras, device identifiers, predictive systems, platform control, and laws broad enough to criminalize ordinary speech. If those systems are captured, repression can become faster, quieter, cheaper, and harder to prove. But if digital power is governed under law, technology can become one of democracy's greatest allies. AI with accountability, data with dignity, innovation with rights, security without surveillance tyranny. Data is not only information. Data is a record of human life. A photograph may reveal a face, location, time, relationships, health, habits, and political associations. A phone may reveal movement, contacts, searches, purchases, beliefs, and fears. Even silence can become data. A person who stops posting, changes location, deletes an account, or avoids a topic may still be classified by the system observing them. Data becomes power when institutions use it to decide who receives a service, who receives credit, who is investigated, who sees information, who is considered risky, and who is made invisible. AI is not magic. It is pattern power. It learns from data and produces predictions, recommendations, rankings, classifications, or decisions at a scale no individual human can match. But AI does not create morality. It amplifies the morality, inequality, incentives, and blind spots of the system operating it. If historical data contains discrimination, an automated system may reproduce discrimination with the appearance of objectivity. If public records are incomplete, the system may punish people for being invisible. If the goal is political control, AI can make control more precise. Automated decisions can affect welfare, policing, employment, education, credit, migration, health, taxation, and access to public services. A person may never meet the official who denied them. The decision may come from a score, a model, a watch list, or an invisible rule. That is why transparency must mean more than publishing source code. People need to know that an automated system was used, what purpose it serves, what data it relies on, what risks were assessed, who is responsible, and how a human can review the outcome. Surveillance is often presented as security. That is the great modern deception. Some surveillance may be lawful and necessary for specific threats. But surveillance without clear limits can make every citizen a permanent suspect. Lawful surveillance requires a defined purpose, legal authority, necessity, proportionality, time limits, independent approval, secure handling, and deletion when data is no longer justified. Mass surveillance reverses the relationship between citizen and state. Instead of the state proving why it should investigate a person, the person must live as though innocence must be continuously demonstrated. The ruler does not need to arrest everyone. The ruler only needs everyone to believe they could be watched, classified, or punished. That belief changes behavior. People censor themselves, avoid associations, delete evidence, stop reporting abuse, and withdraw from public life. Platform governance is also political governance. Platforms decide what is amplified, removed, recommended, monetized, or hidden. Their rules influence speech, elections, public memory, commerce, identity, and social trust. Algorithms may reward outrage because outrage increases attention. Coordinated networks may spread falsehood faster than institutions can correct it. Content moderation may be necessary, yet opaque moderation can silence lawful voices without explanation or appeal. Digital rights are therefore human rights applied to digital life. They include privacy, expression, access to information, equality, due process, security, freedom of association, and protection from arbitrary interference. Digital inclusion also matters. A public service available only online can exclude people without devices, connectivity, literacy, language access, disability access, or secure identification. Digital government should reduce barriers, not create a new class of invisible citizens. Public data, budgets, laws, services, and decisions should be available digitally in accessible and citizen-friendly forms. But openness must not expose victims, medical records, personal identifiers, or vulnerable communities. Cybersecurity is part of public safety. Weak systems can expose citizens to identity theft, blackmail, financial loss, manipulation, and state or criminal intrusion. Security must protect data throughout collection, storage, sharing, use, and deletion. The hidden structure becomes traceable through the information chain. Event or data, source or collection, media, platform, archive or system, editorial or algorithmic decision, audience or affected person, behavior or public memory, political consequence and remedy. Event or data asks what happened and what information was created. Source or collection asks who gathered the data, under what authority, and with what consent or legal basis. Platform, archive, or system asks where the information is stored, combined, shared, and secured. Editorial or algorithmic decision asks what rule determines visibility, ranking, classification, access, or exclusion. Audience or affected person asks who receives the information or bears the decision. Behavior or public memory asks how the system changes action, belief, reputation, and social trust. Political consequence and remedy ask who gained power, who suffered harm, and what institution can correct it. A broken outcome may begin far upstream. The visible harm may be a wrongful arrest, denied benefit, manipulated election, hacked record, censored post, discriminatory score, or false public narrative. But the deeper failure may be unlawful collection, poor data quality, hidden procurement, insecure storage, biased training data, captured oversight, or an appeal that exists only on paper. The chain prevents us from reducing digital harm to one programmer, one platform, or one official. It identifies where law, data quality, design, security, transparency, oversight, or remedy stopped working. When citizens can locate that break, criticism becomes more accurate and reform becomes more practical. For this episode, the principal mechanism is data power, surveillance, and algorithmic governance. The production graphic must make every link readable on a phone screen and label country-specific or proposed arrangements honestly. Under dictatorship, technology is shaped primarily by concentrated command. Information is restricted, systems answer upward. Surveillance protects the regime, platforms are controlled, and challenge may carry personal risk. Cyber laws may criminalize speech, data may support targeted repression, and digital infrastructure may become a tool of fear. In a fragile democracy, formal protections may exist while weak institutions, corruption, politicized procurement, poor cybersecurity, opaque systems, or inconsistent enforcement makes rights uncertain. Automated tools may be purchased without impact assessment. Data may be collected without secure governance. Appeals may exist but lack technical capacity. In a functioning federal democracy, authority is constitutionally distributed, common rights remain enforceable, and legislatures, courts, regulators, auditors, data protection bodies, media, civil society, and citizens contest digital power. Elections or federal language do not prove performance. The viewer should compare who decides, how authority was obtained, what data is collected, whether records are public, whether affected people participate, and whether cybersecurity, appeal, and remedy exist in practice. The constructive question is not merely what values we declare, but what institutions make technology trustworthy. The minimum guardrails are: 1. Lawful and necessary data collection. Institutions should collect only data connected to a defined public purpose, under clear authority, with limits on retention, sharing, and secondary use. 2. Privacy and data protection rights. People need rights to know, access, correct, protect, and where appropriate delete personal data, together with safeguards against unlawful disclosure. 3. Transparent automated decision-making. Public bodies should disclose when AI is used, document its purpose and risks, preserve decision records, and explain significant outcomes in understandable language. 4. Independent oversight and human review. Regulators, courts, auditors, legislatures, ethics bodies, and qualified reviewers need authority to inspect systems, test discrimination, suspend harmful use, and require correction. 5. Cybersecurity, appeal, and effective remedy. Systems must protect data, report serious breaches, provide human appeal, correct inaccurate records, compensate harm where appropriate, and enforce lawful decisions. These safeguards work as a system. Lawful collection without security can expose people. Privacy without transparency cannot reveal automated harm. Transparency without oversight may become public relations. Human review without authority may be symbolic, and appeal without enforcement does not repair harm. Global relevance. Across political labels, ask who collects data, who designs the system, what limits power, what is public, who can challenge a decision, and whether correction is real. Myanmar relevance. Use ordinary lived experience only where it clarifies the mechanism. Do not treat one authority, platform, organization, armed actor, company, or proposal as the whole country. Separate existing institutions from interim systems, local practices, political commitments, commercial services, and aspirational designs. Here is the civic practice for this episode. See and ask. Audit one app, platform, or public digital service. Ask what it knows about you, why it collects that information, who receives it, how long it keeps it, and who could misuse it. Verify. Examine privacy law, data policy, algorithmic impact documentation, procurement terms, audit rules, appeal procedures, and oversight mandates. Distinguish a promised safeguard from one that is actually enforceable. Act. Complete a private data audit for one app or public digital service. Review permissions, privacy settings, data sharing options, account security, appeal routes, and deletion controls. Change settings or seek redress only through safe and lawful routes. Review. Record whether you can name the responsible institution, the evidence, the safeguard or remedy, and one safe next step. Do not publish personal data, security details, private communications, or identifying information that could expose another person. The measure of success is not visibility. It is whether you can identify responsibility, evidence, a credible safeguard, and the safest practical action. Technology without limits will eventually serve the strongest actor. Usually the state, the richest corporation, or the most ruthless network. Democracy exists to restrain the strongest actor. That is its purpose. The future will be shaped by AI and data. But the deeper question is shaped by whom, and under what rules? A dictatorship sees technology as a mirror of its nature, control. A democracy must make technology answerable to rights, law, participation, and remedy. A political system is not judged by the promises it makes. It is judged by the lives it protects when no one is watching. The principle to carry forward is this. Digital life is now political life. Data and algorithms are instruments of governance. Ask yourself, what part of AI, data, surveillance, and digital rights have I treated as normal even though it should be visible, answerable, and correctable? Knowledge justifies authority. In the next episode, we continue with education sector. Schools as democracy factories. Continue the playlist, use the worksheet, and keep the practice safe, truthful, and disciplined. The system shapes our lives. Our participation shapes the system. Subscribe, learn, participate, shape the future. KJA, knowledge justifies authority.